Hey guys, it's Devin, and today we're going to learn how to make free plants. And you may be asking, how can I make free plants? Well, it's actually very easy, and we're going to talk all about it, and it's called propagating. I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks to easily propagate your plants. So propagating your plants is very easy, and there are certain plants that can be propagated better in water and some that are better in soil. The easiest method I find for propagating is vining plants. Now, vining plants grow super fast, so they're super easy to propagate. You just clip them at the node, and I stick them in a thing of water and sit them on a bright windowsill, and you wait. And some plants, such as pothos and scindapsus like this, tend to root a little faster than, let's say, the monsteras or the fiddle figs that we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. Easiest thing you can do is identify where the node is. And the node is where a leaf is coming out. And the best thing that you can do is find where the new leaf is already coming out. Make sure you have sanitized and clean your scissors or shears or knives or whatever you're going to cut your vine with, to make sure that there's no bacteria that's spreading around, because we don't want that. First thing I'm going to do, since this is a little bit longer and I'm just going to give it a quick trim, is I'm going to go ahead and cut it right below the node. And if you can see, there's a little aerial root, and so you're going to want to cut it right below that point. And don't worry about feeling like you're hurting your plants or you're scared to cut it. It actually promotes new growth, and if you want a bushier plant, it actually promotes it to side grow. So you actually won't get any new growth from this point. As you can see, once you cut it, it's actually gonna start sprouting off to the side. So what I do is go ahead and just trim this part off because you don't need it. I'm gonna go ahead and do this with this one. I'm gonna cut it right below the node, and I'm gonna give this a little trim just because it's gonna hang out there and nothing's gonna come off it. All right, so now we still got a trailing plant, and no harm is done to this plant, so I'm gonna put this aside. So now we're left with these two vines. The best way I like to do it is I have a bunch of these little jars, and I'm gonna remove this bottom leaf just because I can't get it submerged in the water. Just gonna snip it off. And as you can see, I have new growth showing already on this one, and also a node up there. So I could potentially cut it off. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna cut it off right below this node because we don't need this. This will probably just rot in the water. So when I do stick it in water, I leave just a little bit of the stem so it has some stability when you place it in the water. What you do, probably not the best. Oh, actually it'll work. You'll want to submerge that aerial root into the water. So I'm going to cut it again below the node. I'm going to stick it in, and we have one more. Stick this in water as well. So as you can see, I just have the stem submerged in water. Now we just have to wait. So a few reasons you'll want to propagate your plants is, again, to make, new plants out of your mother plants. Or in this case, I have this Dracaena compacta, and she's not looking so good. She's lost a lot of leaves, but she's actually been sprouting new leaves. But I'm wanting to kind of give her new life. I've repotted her. She's kind of suffered in the past from root rot. So another reason to propagate your plants is if it's unhealthy and you're trying to save it. So in this case, this is what I'm going to do as well. So for this one, as you can see, there's a space here that she's dropped a bunch of different leaves. So I am actually going to cut it right about here. So you're left with the top. And so what I'm going to do is actually remove some of the lower leaves, so when I submerge it in the water, the leaves won't rot. And again, you're not hurting the plant. It will recover, it will regrow. And a lot of the bad leaves that it has is actually taking stress away from the plant so it can focus its energy more on producing newer, better leaves. So I'm left with just this. So the stem, and I'm gonna just place it directly in water. I might have to get another container for this. All right, this one might be a little bit better. Again, there we go. I just have the stem sticking in water, and you're gonna want to refresh your water every couple of days. I'm really bad about forgetting about it because I have them all sitting on a windowsill. So I try to remember at least once a week to dump out the water and refresh the water because they need that oxygen that is in the water that they're not getting from the soil, and also the nutrients and everything like that. Now we have this, and now we're gonna wait and see if it grows roots. So for this plant, I'm actually gonna take a cutting from lower down so I can have multiple cuttings to place in the water. So again, it's hard to see because it's very bushy. I'm gonna find where a node is, and there's actually a new leaf sprouting out on some of these. So I am going to cut it right here. I don't know if you can see. So it looks like this. I'm gonna do it right here. So I'm actually just gonna go ahead and trim this one off just because it's growing all over the place. So I have my node at the bottom right here with the aerial root. And again, stick it in like this. And then I am going to do the same. And as you can see, the little brown thing is an aerial root that's coming out, and that's actually where the new growth is going to form. Let's stick it in water. So this one's kind of an awkward plant. Again, I'm gonna trim off the stem a little bit and stick it in water. Oh, landed right into the water. Okay. So I have a good bit of cuttings. Since this one wasn't on a vine, they kind of went all different directions, but they're submerged underwater, and I'm gonna place it on a windowsill like the other ones and see which ones sprout roots. So super easy. And this is what it's gonna look like after a couple months. And if you could see, I'm gonna pull this out actually. These roots are actually pretty long. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is go ahead and pot this up so it can be directly in soil and get the nutrients. I just got this tray because it's gonna make a mess. But I pre-moistened my soil a little bit just so it's quite a stark difference from going from water to soil. So that's why we pre-moisten, and you wanna make sure that when you transplant your rooted cuttings from water to soil, that you keep the soil moist for about a week or two until you really see that it's kind of solidified and growing. So I'm going to dig a little hole. All right, you're gonna wanna make sure that all your roots are covered, and you might wanna squish it down just a little bit gently just to make sure that it's secure. And I'm gonna go ahead and water it again just to make sure that there's no air pockets or that it doesn't shift around. And then you can put it in bright and direct light. Now you have a new plant. All right, the next method I'm gonna do is propagating directly into soil. I'm gonna be taking a bunch of cuttings from my Monstera deliciosa. And again, like I said, one of the reasons that you can propagate is if your plant is not looking good or is suffering. This plant I got I think was actually suffering a little bit from root rot, and the new growth was coming in a little rotted or not so healthy. So I'm gonna give it a good trim, replant them. So you're gonna wanna find where the leaves bulge out, and there's, like this one has a really large aerial root. You can see. So again, I'm going to cut right below the aerial root. All right. So as you can see, the new growth that when I got it was coming in a little bit brown and rotted on the edge. And I believe it was because of root rot and sitting in water for too long. So where I cut, you can see where the two leaves come out right here, and there's also one right here. I'll probably take this leaf off, but there is an aerial root that is coming out right here. So I'm gonna cut. So now I'm left with this. What I'm gonna do, again, I have my pre-moistened soil. I'm gonna dig a little hole. So I'm going to want to water it thoroughly, and again, just place it in indirect light, and it should start to form roots within a month. You can check back on it. There you have it. I think one of my favorite things about propagating plants is watching the roots grow and really seeing how resilient Mother Nature is and how easily they have roots, and it's kind of like you've grown a new thing all on your own, and you get to share it with different people that you love, and you can give them a free plant, or you can continue to grow your collection. All right guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something new about propagating your plants. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps us and supports us as a channel. And if you're interested to join our community, hit that subscribe button. My goal is to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the summer. Again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.